Hey guys, Jaren here, and today I'm going to talk to you about a really good practice to implement in programming called refactoring. And refactoring is the process of taking code that you've written and looking over it again and again to improve its quality without changing its functionality, without changing what it actually does ultimately. And it's kind of like ancient Japanese bladesmiths who would forge their metal by folding it over and over and over again up to 16 times to remove impurities and create a really highly focused sharp edge. The process of refactoring is a lot like that. You're looking to make your code more resilient and more elegant, and there's really infinite ways to do that. But one way to refactor code is to look for places where there's repetition or where code is really difficult to understand and move those parts into functions. Okay, so here I've coded an example, and this code should kind of look really hairy to you, really crazy. Um, so what I would suggest is pause the video on this frame and just see if you can guess what this code's going to do. Alright, so I'll go ahead and test the code now. And cool, looks like a tunnel. Okay, so hopefully whether you guessed correctly or whether you spent a bunch of time guessing the outcome correctly is a testament to the need for refactoring here. So let's switch back to the code and see how we can make the code easier to deal with without changing the functionality. Alright, so the first thing that springs to mind is that we've got all these loops inside of loops, and these are also known as nested loops. Oftentimes, nested loops like this are considered bad practice because it's really hard to understand, although they can make good puzzles for exercising your ability to read code. So how could we make this code better? I would say that we could take the parts in here, which make squares of blocks, and we could turn that into a function called square. So why don't we get a new function. All right, and then we'll call that function square, and then we'll get all the code from inside this loop, all these nested loops, and we'll put it into that square function. All right, so now that I've made that change, I want to, of course, test it out again to make sure that I get the same output. Because remember, we're only trying to change, or we're only trying to improve the readability of the code. It causes a big waste of time usually to try and introduce functionality change while you're refactoring. All right, good. So now we've got the same output and the code is already easier to understand. Okay, so again, refactoring is a way to make your code easier to understand and make edits to without changing the result there. So what other benefits do you think you can see from refactoring, or what other ways can you see refactoring this particular project? Put your answers in the video's comments. Thanks, guys.